Our learning target for today is I can learn about the element of space. I can show the depth of space within a work of art. I'll know I've succeeded when I have created a series of monster pictures with monsters at various depths. Today we're talking about space, amazing artists, and space is an element of art. Remember, an element of art is just a fancy word for saying an ingredient we use to create art. So today we're talking about space, and we've done one lesson on space so far this year with our Japanese Notan art, but now we're going to look at space a little bit differently. A lot of times space has to do with the illusion of depth. So in other words, looking at a two-dimensional project and understanding what is closer and what is farther. Now you'll notice by this little slide that there are many tips and tricks for making our eyes understand depth. But today, we're just going to focus on two of them. We're going to look at overlapping and size and placement. When using overlapping, you'll see in the example here that we have paper number 1, which is clearly in front of paper number 2, which is clearly in front of 3, and 3 is in front of 4. And how do we know that? We know that because we have overlapped the different papers to make it look like one is behind and one is in front. This is a technique we are going to use today when we create our monster photo booth. We're also going to use size and placement. Notice that the little monster that says near is bigger and clearer with more details. The monster that says far is not only smaller, but we don't see as many details. It's very clear to our eyes which monster would be closer and which one would be farther away. Here is a sample of your project today, and I want you to take a look at these silly little monsters. Now, first of all, if you have ever been to a fair or a special event where there's a little photo booth and you go inside with a friend and take some pictures, then this might look familiar. If not, I want you to imagine a bunch of little photos are taken of two little monsters, and they're taking turns being closer to the camera or farther away. So for your project, you're going to have 4 little pictures of the characters that you create, and you are going to need to have one that is side by side, such as the top picture. You're going to need to have the second one where one monster is further away and one is closer up. There's an overlapping technique. And the third one, you're going to swap which monster is close and which one is far away. And there I'm using a little bit of size and position as well. And the last one is just a goofy picture of the two monsters together. In your supply kits, you were given a long strip of paper. That paper was folded in half so that it could fit in the bag. And that's actually the first step that you're going to need to do to create this project. So first, grab that paper, the long strip of white paper from your supply bag, fold it in half and crease it well. Once you've done that, open it back up. You can see that middle crease. Fold each end towards the middle, crease it well, so that you then have 4 sections to your paper. Once you have the creases made, use a black Sharpie or black marker to create lines right in the creases. This will give us the places that we're going to draw each photo. If you need some ideas on what little monsters to draw, feel free to pause the video right here so that you have lots of examples in front of you, and then use one of these or design your own. In order to decide what monsters I'm going to include in my photo booth, I'm going to just take a scrap piece of paper and sketch out the monsters that I want to draw. This time I think I'm going to do kind of a pumpkin monster, and I'm coloring it in just as I would if it was on my little photo booth because I want to see if this is going to work. I'm also going to create another monster right next to it because, again, I want to plan out the two characters that I'm going to use. Once I have my two silly little monsters, I can then decide how I'm going to organize them on my final paper. So I have my pumpkin character and my purple gourd, and now I'm going to first of all do just the side-by-side example. For this, there isn't an illusion of depth. There's no space element that we're really working with right here, other than the two characters are side by side. We know that because they're approximately the same size, they're standing in the same space, and they look very similar to the creatures I just made right here. Now I'm going to start outlining the next picture. For this one, I'm going to have the purple gourd up close and the pumpkin man behind. I am using overlapping, as you can tell. It looks like my pumpkin is behind the purple gourd, so that is using space. I'm using overlapping, and now I need to reverse it. I need to have my pumpkin in front, so I'm going to draw him nice and big right in the front, and my little purple gourd is going to need to be in the back. This time I'm going to use more of a size and placement to figure out how I'm going to create the illusion of depth. Notice how little the gourd looks in comparison to the pumpkin. For the very last photo, that's the silly one. You're pretending that your little creatures have decided to do a funny face for the camera. Decide however you want that to be and draw it in. No need to figure out the element of space there. I realize that the video cut off those last ones, so you'll get to see them when I'm coloring. Then double check. Notice I'm making sure I have used the element of space to create my photo booth. Now for the fun part. I get to decorate it. I'm going to speed this part of the video up because I'm sure you don't need to watch me color, even though it's one of my favorite things to do. So now I have all of my little monsters drawn, and they're all demonstrating the element of space, but now I need to color the background. I'm going to choose just one color to color my background, but you could choose any colors you want. You could even create a different scene. It's really up to you. Because we're going to the very edge of the paper and I don't have a messy mat, I am going to use another scrap paper just to make sure I don't color on the table. I'm excited to see what your projects look like too. And here it is, the element of space with a couple of goofy monsters. Be sure to turn in a picture of your monster photo booth on a slide that looks like this, and then submit it on Google Classroom.